the Waterloo Community School District to order and ask that you join me in a moment of silence. Thank you. And will you please rise and repeat the Pledge of Allegiance with me?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And next we'll read our mission statement. The Waterloo Schools community commits to a comprehensive system of education and support to assure that each and every student will graduate prepared for college, career, and citizenship, as evidenced by continuing education, pursuing a career path, and contributing to a community. The next item on our agenda this evening is a public hearing for the demolition of the Edison Elementary School. It is item A on page 1 in your exhibit. And I know that Michael Coughlin is here, and I do need a motion to open the hearing. Just declare it open.
So moved.
Great, thank you. So the hearing is open. Is there anyone here who wishes to address the board this evening? And if so, please come forward and state your name and address. This is just regarding the Edison. We do have another public comment section later on in our meeting as well. Okay, then seeing none, I need a motion to close the hearing.
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Thanks, you two. It's been moved and seconded, and this is a roll call vote, so I'll start down with Jesse. All those in favor of approval, Jesse Knight?
Aye.
Angela Weekly?
Aye.
Sue Flynn?
Aye.
Rhonda McCrina?
Aye.
Lyle Schmidt?
Aye.
Shanley McNally, Chair, votes aye. Our hearing is closed. Thank you. The next item on our agenda is an awesome board celebration. It's so fantastic to have a boardroom full of people. I can't even tell you. It makes me smile. This is our Schwartz and Druber Award, and this is a very coveted award within our district, and I'm very excited. I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Lindeman, and then I also have supporting some more information I'm going to read as you all come forward and receive your award. So.
Great. Yeah, you're right. It is wonderful to have such a crowd here. So Dr. Schwarzenberger was our superintendent from 1995 to 2002, and he led the district during some really tough times. And when he left the district to retire, the board named this award in his honor to remember him, which was great. And so this award, the Schwarzenberger Award, is marked with this awesome trophy with the eagle. And it is designed to recognize the building that had the most growth from last year to this year. And so we always make a comment that although the building, the recipient might not have the highest scores, that's not what this award is about. It's about growth from one year to the next. And so we are absolutely thrilled to recognize Irving Elementary as this year's Schwarzenberger Award winners. Yeah, let's clap for them. So this award actually comes in several different components. So we made the announcement on opening day. They never know who's going to get it, and sometimes we put them in this special seat, and this is the last year I said we are not going to put them up front. So next year, no one will know who it is because they had to have had some clue because they were kind of in the position of honor. And so we made the announcement then, but tonight's really the formal recognition, and then we will actually be coming to the building with a plaque and with the eagle to deliver it for the year. It is a traveling trophy, a traveling award, and so they will get the recognition of that all year with the eagle there. So with that, I'll open it up to any other comments that you might have.
Absolutely. Board, anybody?
Well, I'm glad to see that it went back to Irving. You guys got it in 13-14, and so you guys got a bunch of awesome staff there and students that are working really hard. So I just, from myself, I'm an Irving graduate, actually. Oh. But it was the old Irving. It was the old Irving. And I drive by your school every day, and you have such positive things on your billboards, and I just see the kids. The other day, though, I was like, there was a student so excited to get out of her car at 7:45, and she ran in and was swinging and just waiting to go to school. And I said to her, I drove by, and she did talk to a stranger, so stranger danger, but, and I said to her, are you excited to go to school today? And she said, yes! And so I just wanted to tell you guys that, because to me that it made my day to know a kid was sitting there waiting to go to school. And it's cool to see, I see some local Waterloo people that are teachers there and district people, and I just keep up the good work. I think you're really making an impact on kids, and just know that we appreciate it. So thank you.
And just to add on to some of Sue's comments, I know that it's not just the students and not just the teachers and not just the principal, but you guys do such a good job in involving your parents with your parent university and the summer programs that you run and the places that you go and partner with to make sure that your kids are successful year-round. It's just been amazing to be able to look at that from the outside to see this is how you make sure that your kids are successful. You're 100% engaged.
I also, so while you all are sort of assembling yourselves, we do want to take a picture, and I can't see Amy, she's probably back there. There she is. All right. I just want to take a minute, because I think this is really important for, in case you all haven't seen it, this is really important for you to know. This is from our former superintendent, Arliss Schwartzendruber, and he sent a letter to the district dated in August, and I just want to read this to you all because it's really awesome. So it says, Dear Dr. Lindeman, I would like to congratulate the winner of the annual Schwartzendruber Award for Academic Excellence with a traveling trophy. Irving Elementary was the recipient for 2015-16, and I believe this is the third time they have been recognized. 11 different schools have received the recognition since 2002-2003. Congratulations to Principal Amy Schmidt, the teachers and staff at Irving, their students, and their parents. I keep somewhat up to date with Waterloo schools through the district's website, your local newspaper, and friends. 21 years ago, I joined the Waterloo schools with a consensus for a renewed focus on the teaching and learning environment and student achievement. The Board of Education, the community, and those within the system support the effort. People and resources came together in a most remarkable way, and many good things happened, including the building of the first new schools and remodeling of others. It is gratifying to see those efforts grow and evolve in a positive manner under your leadership. There are many new or remodeled schools, and the teaching and learning environment has been greatly enhanced with the use of technology. Teachers, administrators, and staff members work hard in the Waterloo schools, and the strong support of parents and the community is obvious. I applaud all schools for their dedication to student achievement, and again, congratulate Irving Elementary for an outstanding year of academic growth. I wish you and everyone in the Waterloo Community School District a wonderful and productive 2016-17 school year. Sincerely, Arliss Schwartzendruber, former superintendent of Waterloo Schools from 1995 to 2002. He currently resides in Nevada. And so with that, I would heartily like to ask the Irving staff to get your tails up here and get this great award. Yay!
I guess I have to, should we go down?
Yeah. Don't be shy. Come on.
So Tara, are you wanting them up here?
What about here?
Do you guys want to just come right through the here? We're gonna why don't you just, sometimes we just do pictures right there in front
Yeah,
of the
stand right here in front.
and they can make faces.
I don't really want to be in the front.
Tall, you know the drill, tall.
Yeah, tallest in the back, shortest in the front. That's good.
David's super easy.
Chelsea, you're short. You move up.
Yes, for sure.
I would love to have somebody in the conference. Would you be willing to take that? We won't have the kids. It's super heavy. Congratulations.
We'll bring that back to it, I promise. It's coming. Thank you all.
Thank you guys. Great job.
And if anybody wants to say anything, the mic's open.
Yeah. We'd like to hear Amy. Yeah, we need a couple
We'd love
people
to
to
hear
make
from
a
you.
comment
We
about
want
what
to
this
hear
means
from
to
at
you
least
guys.
6
We'd
of
love
you.
to have that.
Okay, you want that back? Don't be shy.
Yeah, come on, don't make me talk anymore. Yeah.
Come on up, Zach and Amy. And
First of all, I do have to say that this is a tremendous honor.
Turn your mic on.
there we
A tremendous honor.
There you go.
I really am just truly humbled right now to be in front of you, in front of these wonderful people. I could not do my job every day without them, and more importantly, the students that walk in our building every day and the families that support us. And on behalf of the board, I just appreciate all of your support that you provide us and listen to us. I thank you for our fence that looks beautiful. I have to say that any chance I get. We have a playground coming that we're super excited about, but I really am truly humbled by this experience because I came in 2 years ago, this is year 3, and I had a really good thing. Mr. Tooney left a legacy, as many others have, and he did a really good job treating me right and meeting with me monthly and just making sure I was immersed in the community and knowing the different things that were going on within the neighborhood around it. And I'm so proud of the people that we have on this team right here. I have to get a shout out right here to Adrian Carlson, who really helped us with our attendance. I know you guys hear about this all the time, but
And she was also the Family Support Worker of the Year for Waterloo Schools, so award-winning all around.
she is. And I mean, I would love for her to just speak a little bit about that because she works diligently and hard in just talking to our families and supporting. And we truly believe there's a lot of reasons for our student achievement, and it's definitely the work that's done behind the scenes right back here behind me, day in and day out. I love you guys for coming in and giving everything you have to our students because they deserve the best. So, Adrian, I am going to turn it over to you just for a minute because it's definitely a part of this achievement. So thank you very much.
I was able to come and join the team at the same time Amy did, and I am so blessed to be a part of Irving, and this staff is amazing. So I got Family Support Worker of the Year, but I definitely can't take the credit for that. Without this team that's back here, I couldn't do my job. Their communication is great, their relationships with kids and families are so great. Just the more positive things that we have happening, the more positive relationships we're building with families, and just parent-led conferences the other day just goes to show we had such a steady stream of parents coming in. So we're definitely growing, and I think growing on the families too. So thank you, thank you. We truly appreciate your support.
Wonderful.
Bree, you want to come up? Bree's our lit coach, and she's top-notch, so.
Okay. It's basically been said. I think the word proud comes to mind a lot when we think of Irving, and Sue mentioned it too. It's not just one thing that we have going. It's the students, it's the staff, it's the parents, it's the community that believes in the kids in our community and helps our kids be successful every day. So there's a lot that goes into it, and I think everyone in this room would be saying that they are proud to be a part of this Irving team and family. So thank you for your support.
Come on.
Has to be, how about if we pose a question? Yeah, there we go.
There we go.
Dennis Rakuzik, and I'm one of the district math coaches. I do, yes, I do remember. It's good to see you.
We're not going to turn her microphone on.
Okay.
Just keep right on going.
I couldn't be more proud to be a part of Irving, and getting the opportunity to be in several buildings. I'm proud of Waterloo Schools, and I know that we don't want to be one and done with this award, but in order for that to happen, we have to work hard because there are other schools out there doing wonderful things. But the commitment these people make to building relationships is the first step. After that, we've moved forward to strengthening our core instruction, monitoring student progress, and the award didn't happen because we wanted it to happen. It happened because we made it happen. So thank you.
You two can chat after, I promise.
Oh, here's Donna.
I'm standing here to represent the Partners of Education, and I think many of you know I've been in the district for a number of years and been in a lot of buildings, and I was so excited to be a part of this building. Their enthusiasm, their excitement, the children, everything about it is so positive. And I've just been so pleased to be a part of that journey with them. And I've had the privilege of volunteering at the Falcon Fest the last couple years. Parents are so supportive, so polite, so many pleases and thank yous. I've heard some of the children that are a part of the activities. And it just walk in the building, and Amy just bubbles. And the staff has worked hard. The attendance is unbelievable. And as you know, I've been in a lot of schools, a lot of different places, and I'm so proud to be a part of this school right now.
Thank you.
Okay, anyone else? There we go.
It's only the men. Come on.
Well, I'm going to speak. Hi, my name is Marshall Frazier. I have 2 boys, so I actually have 1 boy left at Irving. And my wife started there when they first opened up years ago. And just the whole environment from that time to now has grown so much as far as just the warmth. And, you know, you can throw the stats, you can throw all that out there as far as the numbers go. But when you have a family such as this that works so hard to make sure that the environment is good for conducive to learning, you don't see that very often. You know, you always talk about the bad things and how we can improve, and they're doing it. So I'm proud to have them as my kids' administrators and teachers, and you know, keep this going. Don't break this up, and you know, please don't do that. Unless they want to break up, but they want to stay together. Let them stay together because it's a good thing. So I appreciate it. Thanks for
Wonderful.
doing it.
Thank you. Well, it's clear to see that the enthusiasm in the room is infectious. So I want to just thank you all for coming out tonight, taking a Monday evening to be here, and for everything you've done from the very beginning of last year all the way through. I know we're not done, but start to a new year and all, but just thank you. Very heartfelt thanks from all of us up here this evening. So.
And I would just, before you leave, I would just add, when somebody mentioned I think Dennis said is tough competition, and I think that it would be okay for me to list a couple of the other schools that were very, very close in achievement to you guys. You clearly were the winners of the Schwarzenberger, but I just wanted to highlight East High School was very, very close, and so was Lowell Elementary. So we had some really, really great growth across the district, and so you know, congratulations to all of the schools. I know how hard you work, and it's really not for you, it's for the kids, and there's no doubt that we know that. And so Amy, I will talk with you and find out when we can come, and it's just fun to come and bring the eagle and bring the plaque and talk with the kids. So if we can find some time when we can do that, I think it would be absolutely fabulous. So looking forward to it. Thank you guys so much.
And just piggybacking on Jane's opening day ceremony, I just thank you all for being positive and choosing positive. It sounds like you do that every single day. And so obviously being positive and makes an impact on the kids. So thank you all for being positive.
And she said you were leaving. Are you serious? You don't have to go. I'm just teasing. But you know you're welcome to stay as long as you want. Again, thank you all and congratulations. Go celebrate.
Good job.
Nice to see you.
All right.
All right, the next item on our agenda, see, there goes my audience, I'm so sad, is information from individuals and delegations. And I'm wondering if there's anyone here this evening who wishes to address the board. And if so, please come forward. And I have just a short statement, but I'm not going to read it if nobody's here. All right. Then we'll move on. This evening we get to have our annual meeting, and we're going to do some finishing up or starting of our business for the year. In September is normally when school board elections occur, but this is an even year, so we do not have any elections this fall. They will be next fall. And so this evening we're going to do some business of the board. So those of you that are out there in class, you get to see a little bit of that going on tonight too. So with that, I'm going to turn over, it is our financial documents. I'm going to turn it over to Michael Coughlin, our CFO.
Good evening. Part of the organizational meeting is to just review how the
It's a little, there you go.
There you
how
go.
the previous year, the year we just finished, completed. We have September 15th is our deadline that most of our major state reports are due to Des Moines, to the Department of Education. I gave you a summary of most of that report, and I think the ink is still warm. This is kind of crunch week for us to try to get that all out. Part of the annual meeting is the treasurer's report, and that is on the bottom of page 1. And what that does is measure the fund balance of all of the different funds. And again, it's not our cash balance, it's not the authority balance, it's really more like private business, that you look on a balance sheet and this is your equity at the end, and how does that compare to the beginning of the year. So I think if you look across the top of that exhibit, you can see the totals from last year, and I think every one of them improved from last year. So we have seen, even in the light of new percentage of money from the state in 16 of only 1.25%, there really was some issues with cutting back on the budget, and that was able to be played through. And then the cash reserve levy helps our cash position. So that's most of what caused the improvement. So that's part of what you do as a board going out, just seeing that report. But I've also given you most of the CAR report, certified annual report, and I've got all of the pages numbered on there, so you can go through and look at that. But I'm going to spend more time on that a little bit later, and I'm also going to spend more time on that in the Finance Committee. So I'm not going to go into detail here, other than saying the indicators that we normally keep track of all improved as well. And we will talk as a Finance Committee about that, and then there will be more of a formal presentation of the condition of the district in a couple meetings. So, but it did look positive from year 16, 15, 16, but we are heading into 17, as you very well know, dealing with the enrollment issues of where that's going to finally end up, which has a critical effect on our budget. And actually, that's for the following year. So 17, as we work to staff where we need to, that's the critical point of getting this year started. I will start with more details on this in a previous meeting, but this report is just to present to the outgoing board the condition of the district as far as fund balance in all the accounts. If anybody has any questions, I can certainly address those.
Michael, on the food service, I know we're kind of between a rock and a hard spot with conflicting state regulations. Where are we at on that? I see this a blank.
If you look on that, it's got a zero balance. Last year, when we ran food service in 14-15, when we got to the end of food service year, we had a positive balance, which we have had for several years. But we had a new GASB law come in that measured liabilities of health insurance, and it put us in a negative position of about $259,000. Well, it was a comment on the audit of saying we need that addressed. Well, by the time we understand how that's being affected, we're most of the way through another year. But just reporting that, we ended up about $153,000 over this year. So part of the closing to follow the audit's recommendations was to actually reduce some of the expenses that we can charge food service, indirect things that are supplied by other places. So that number was backed out to make their balance 0.
Okay, so the blank is 0.
Yep.
Okay.
I saw there was a dash. I didn't know if that was a placeholder
Well, that means,
or if
that
that
means
was
0 in Excel,
Yeah,
right.
That's what I thought. I thought that's a 0. Good. Yeah, you can't put the. Does
Okay.
anyone have any further questions for Michael? I do need to get this motion on the table then first, and that is that the Board of Education approve the treasurer's report for June 30th, 2016, and approve the list of financial institutions as depositories with corresponding maximum amounts in Policy 701.1, Depository of Funds, and place on file the certified annual report, the CAR, 2016, as required by Iowa Department of Education.
So moved.
And a second? Thank you all. And then, if there is anything further for Michael?
What year are we on Farmer State Bank?
We just renewed.
Yeah,
We just
this
finished our
spring.
first 3 years at the end of 16 and put out an RFP, and we're just starting another 3 years, starting in 16, 17.
But it needs to be changed every 4 years, right? Or at least then.
We can do up to that, but we've been doing 3 years.
Okay, so this is,
Not to exceed 4.
okay. So this is the first of potentially 3 years. Okay.
Anything further? Great, then all those in favor of approving the annual meeting financial documents, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Chair votes aye, motion carried. That takes us to the next item on our agenda, which is the election of officers. It's item D on page 8. And I'm going to turn it over to our board secretary, Ms. Arndorfer,
Yes.
for this part of the meeting.
Yes, so at the annual meeting, we will elect our president and vice president. We just need an oral nomination. We do not need a second on that. So the first one that we will do is for a nomination for the office of president.
I nominate Shanley McNally.
Okay.
Thanks.
Okay, and if there's no further nominations, I'll entertain a motion to close the nominations.
I make a motion to close the nomination.
Thank you, Ron. And a second?
Second.
Okay. So all those in favor of closing the nominations for office of president, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed? Okay. Well, Shanley McNally's been nominated as president of the Board of Education. All those in favor of Shanley McNally as president, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And those opposed? All right, Shanley, you have been elected president.
All right, I get to keep my chair.
Congratulations.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, and then we will go on and open nominations for the office of vice president, please.
I'd like to nominate Sue Flynn for Vice President of Waterloo School Board.
Thank you, Angie. And do we have any other nominations? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to close the nominations for the office of vice president.
So moved.
Thank you, Jesse. And a second?
Second.
Shanley, thank you. All those in favor of closing the nominations for the office of vice president, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed? Okay, Sue Flynn has been nominated as vice president of the Board of Education. All those in favor of Sue as vice president, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And those opposed? Congratulations, Sue. And then we will administer the oath of office. If you guys just want to stand right back up here and raise your right hands, please. Over here. Okay. Back up. Do you solemnly swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Iowa, and that you will faithfully and impartially, to the best of your ability, discharge the duties of the office of President and Vice President of the Board of Education in the Waterloo Community School District as now or hereafter required by law.
I do.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. And is that it?
Yep.
Wow, that was sweet. All right, so that took us through our election of officers and also, yes, we're on item E then, on page 13, which is the reorganization of the board. And I guess I just have to put my name in here now, don't I? So the recommended motion is the President of the Board of Education of the Waterloo Community School District, Shanley McNally, be authorized to sign all warrants, contracts, and all other documents that require her signature, and the Vice President of the Board of Education of the Waterloo Community School District, Sue Flynn, be authorized to sign all warrants, contracts, and other documents that require her signature in the absence of the President, and the signature plate of Shanley McNally, immediate past President of the Board of Directors, be authorized to continue as a valid check signature until a plate for the new President, which is me, can be obtained, and the superintendent be authorized to invest school district monies prior to allocating these funds toward payment of expenditures in accordance with Policy 701.8, and the Board of Education reaffirms all policies and actions of preceding boards. And a second?
Second.
Thank you all. Is there any discussion? All right, seeing none, all those in favor of the reorganization of the board, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Chair votes aye. Motion carried. We're reorganized. That takes us then to the next item on our agenda, which is our consent agenda. And this evening, our consent agenda consists of 6 items: the minutes of the August 22nd, 2016 regular board meeting, personnel appointments and adjustments, bills due and payable, and bills paid between board meetings, a donation from the R.J. McElroy Trust, a 28E agreement with Hudson Community School District for shared high school science teacher, and board members' travel. Are there any items that board members wish to have removed from the consent agenda?
Item G, golf, and J, Juliet.
Item G and item J. Anything further? Great. So I would entertain a motion to approve then items F, H, I, and K on the consent agenda.
So moved.
And a second? Second. And all those in favor of approval of those 4 items, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Chair votes aye. Motion carried. That takes us then to item G on page 20.
I move the Board of Education approve the personnel items as listed.
Thank you. And discussion. Go ahead, Lau.
I have 2 questions on this one. Under change of assignments, certified, the building location is Allen Hospital. Could you explain what?
I don't have as much detail as this exciting project warrants, but it's a collaboration with our special ed group and Allen Hospital. I think Allen Hospital is serving as the fiscal agent. Angie, do you have information?
So it's a national program called Project Search to help people that are aging out of special education and or some that have already have a internship at Allen Hospital. And then just one of the requirements is that Waterloo Schools as a partner has to have a teacher that goes to Allen with them, and they teach like life skills during the day, and then they do their internship in the afternoon.
So it says new position. Did we not have this before? Or?
Nope, it's a new program.
A new program.
Is it federally funded or how?
It is not federally funded. Allen, it's funded by Allen, and then we provide the teacher.
So how does, this is full-time, I assume? So is it coincidence that the need is full-time, or are we partially serving the need, or what? It just seems kind of unusual that 1.0 would be the initial need.
Yeah, that's probably a really good question. What we were looking for is students who would really benefit from a true internship. And so the students who are being served are all students with IEPs and have work transition needs. And so we looked for, parents and students who were interested in continuing education past graduation. So these, I think with the exception of one, they are students who have actually graduated, and they are, this is fulfilling their IEP needs so they can have the transition into work. I believe there was a little bit of a spectrum of numbers of students who could be served. I believe it's a very low number that would be served. I'm not sure exactly. It's like, yeah, it's 10, 12, 14, somewhere in there. I think there was a range of students who could be served by one teacher. And the number of students that we chose to do this first year was within that range for what the one teacher would be able to handle. And Allen is really amazing partners through this. They are providing quite a bit of funding to make this happen. So, that I hope that answers some of your questions. But it's our first year of trying it. But it's really a great thing for kids to get this.
And I believe there's a commitment to workplace after they've graduated from the program, that they'll be employed.
Oh, great.
There's like a 90, don't quote my statistic, but I want to say it's like a 92, 96% placement rate in other programs similar to this. So we weren't the first program. There's some that have been in financial institutions across the country, and most of them have been, the most successful ones have been in hospitals. So we took a look at it as a financial institution with Waterloo Schools and decided that would probably be the best fit for the hospital at this time. So it's just a really good program. And like I said, 96%, I believe, actually get employment at like Allen or somewhere else doing the skill that they learned during their internship.
So I assume there's no state formula funding because this is post-high school, except perhaps for the one student, would they qualify for?
Yeah, and I shouldn't have quoted that because I'm not exactly sure, but I can get you the makeup of the students and how many have graduated. I know for a fact, just because I was working on graduation number, I know that there are 4 students who have graduated who will be part of this. Okay. But I guess I shouldn't have said that because if there's 10 or 12 kids that are doing it, it might be the rest are our students that are not quite graduated yet.
But they still would not count in our enrollment?
If they have not graduated, they would count in our enrollment. But the other students who have graduated would not.
Yeah. Okay.
And what kind of jobs do they do?
So I don't know what they're doing at Allen, but I know when we researched it, some of the jobs that they're doing is anywhere from kind of like a candy striper where you move beds and escort patients different places, to escorting lab work to and for where it needs to go, to actually using a centrifuge machine. I mean, it's a variety of things. It depends on, it's very individualized, so it depends on what that student's skills are and how you can move them. They do 4 internships throughout the year, so it's not just a one-time thing, so they can kind of see which one is the best fit for them.
Yeah, I saw some of the positions that were listed. I know that some of them were like sterilization of tools, stocking and laying out tools. I think there are, for example, I don't know that much about the medical profession, but I know that when they do surgeries, all the tools have to be on the tray in exactly the same way, and so somebody has to do that layout. So there are some things that the students can do. And again, the kids who are involved in this have varying needs. Their IEPs are at different levels, and so for some students, they may be doing something a little more advanced, and for some, it might be doing something a little more routine. And so there's a variety of things, but I know that one of the things I was looking at is the working in the surgical tools and the sterilization of the tools, and some kids would be learning about that and the science involved in that.
So is it all medical? There's like no dietary or?
Food services.
Would you like me just to briefly read the Project Search program at Allen, or I can just give you the website? It's under Project Search at Allen Unity Point Health Clinics. But basically it says 12 students ages 17 to 22 will be at Allen Hospital on a daily basis for a combination of classroom instruction and workplace internship. These interns will be fully immersed in the work departments that both matches their abilities and fosters new skills that will enable competitive employment at the end of the school year. Each student will complete 3 different workplace rotations over the next 9 months. And this is in conjunction with Waterloo Schools Vocational Rehab and Inclusion Connection. So for more information, just please stop by Allen's website under Project Search, and you can get more information about the program.
Yeah, I had forgotten about that too. There is funding that comes from Voc Rehab as well. So it is really kind of a joint process. And we were working with Voc Rehab before, and it has to do with the transitional, the workplace transition goals for kids.
Okay, thank you. Sounds like a good program.
And it really does fit in with our career and technical education too. And this is, we were making sure that we were offering CTE for a full spectrum of students, all, students from a variety of needs. And this was one. Sometimes we struggle to find a perfect internship for students who have some significant disabilities or significant needs, and this was a great match for us.
And thanks to Allen Hospital Unity Point for being our partner. That's great. We appreciate that very much.
My other question.
And Inclusion Connection, yeah, sorry.
Is basically how our staffing is going.
Well,
we need teachers.
I think we are approaching the end of our staffing journey. We've been meeting every day, except today, to look at where we are, and we've offered, I think Jane reviewed some of that with you in her Thursday update, offered options, some transfer options. We've moved some teachers, we've added some teachers, and to make sure this doesn't continue, we've capped some classrooms. So I think we've pulled out all the stops in being creative to efficiently staff this year. Don't think I've ever seen a beginning of the year with the enrollment changes like we've had this year. It's just been really interesting. But I think we're getting there. And we've worked very closely with the building principals, and so we're all on board and working together as a team to make sure we address any bumps.
Okay, so, we're at the time of the year where combining or splitting classes becomes a little bit, or quite a bit undesirable. So are we at the point where we think we're finished with that?
I think we are. By Friday of this week, we should be done. There were a couple classes that were no-brainers in terms of splitting. We've already done that. So,
okay.
I think we're... Okay.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of classrooms that we are watching very, very, very carefully. I think Irving Elementary has a couple classrooms that were just because of size. So we're looking at that, but it's that careful combination of making sure you find the right, finding a suitable add if you're adding a teacher at this late date too. So we're looking at that carefully, and we're looking really to try some of the other options first, like transferring students, asking parents. There were a couple kids who had come just this year from a different building, and so asking them if they would like to go back for 1 year just to alleviate. So we're doing a variety of things to try to be as efficient as possible.
If I could add, I think it's just not the efficiency, but also avoiding those disruptions of the school culture and the difficulty that come with that. So that's been our intent all the way through. It is efficiency and avoiding that disruption to culture that's so impactful.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lyle. Anything further then on personnel appointments and adjustments? Great. Then all those in favor of approving the personnel appointments and adjustments, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Chair votes aye. Motion carried. That takes us to then the next item on our consent agenda, item J on page 33.
I move the Board of Education approve the 28E agreement between the Hudson Community School District and the Waterloo Community Schools for a shared high school science teacher as outlined.
And a second? And discussion.
I don't recall any previous agreement like this. I'm assuming this is at the request of Hudson?
Yeah, this is, and I can share a little bit, and then I think Dr. McNulty and Dr. Smith might want to chime in a little bit too if they have added information. We had a teacher who had requested a late resignation, had been hired or had been offered a position at Hudson, and so because we wanted to make sure that we were taking care of our students first, we contacted, I think Dr. McNulty did quite a few phone calls to the superintendent there, and we had lots of conversations trying to see if we could work it out. And actually, we were able to work it out. We were not interested or not willing to completely let this teacher go because there were a couple classes that we really needed to retain that teacher here. So we ended up working out a sharing agreement. It's really kind of a one-year deal just because it really made sense for us to do it for this year. So the only way that we can hire that teacher for half of the time and have Hudson hire for half time is to actually enter into a 28E agreement. And so it kind of helps us work out the details of a payment. So it actually is pretty much a win-win. And do you have anything you want to add to that?
I was going to also add the 7 habits to that. It is a win-win.
Yeah.
So it's always about leader and me. But I think it was a unique situation. The skill set and the professional development that we've worked with that professional and that teacher has been specific. And without a suitable replacement, which would be hard to get because we've done so much professional development, we needed time to bring another person in and give them that professional development so we won't miss a step in our International Baccalaureate or our AP programs. And so I think everyone has done well. Hudson has a talented educator. We have support in our buildings for our needs for our students, and we have a plan of transition.
Yeah. Interestingly, I want to add, oh, sorry, do you want to add something first? I had gotten an email this morning from a community member who had questioned, who had reviewed our agenda, which I love when they do that, and had sent me a question and said, can you tell me more about this? And so in responding to that person, the question was, why in the world would we ever allow somebody to do a late resignation? And so I thought that was an interesting question, and I said, to be honest, sometimes it goes both ways. Yeah, sometimes we're the district who is asking for another district to let them go out of their contract, and sometimes we're the ones that are being asked. So it really is about a partnership and really making a decision. Sometimes you're able to say yes. Waterloo is, sometimes another district is able to say yes, and sometimes you're not able to say yes. And so, it's a case-by-case basis. There is never like I told this community member, there's never a sure thing where we say, yep, we always let them out, or no, we never let them out. That is not true. We really do look at that. It's really about suitable replacement. So
from a contract standpoint, what are the legal rights of the district and of the person? I guess I was assuming a person could resign at any time and just not come to work.
No. Bev, you want to take that? No.
That would be an ethics violation of the Board of Educational Examiners. The code determines the length of time in which an educator must respond to their contract, and once they've signed that contract, they're held in that contract till the completion of that contract, or if the board were to agree to allow them to get out of the contract. So when an individual determines that they're going to leave without that approval of a board, it's an ethical violation, and districts are expected to file a complaint with the Board of Educational Examiners, and it results typically in a reprimand that's on the person's file. In some cases, it's resulted in their license being suspended for a number of days.
Okay, so that's the whole.
Which again goes to why it's beneficial, I think, that this is a 50-50 thing for us, and that there are times that Waterloo gives and times that Waterloo receives from this.
True.
So,
question I had though, you mentioned that we had a lot of professional development in this employee. Are we able to recoup any of that because of that from our expense from doing that?
Actually, no, because that you can't do that. You cannot hold somebody, like if you give them training in the public system, you can't train somebody and say, okay, now you must work for it. You could ask people to do that, but you can't require them to work for us for any, we're gonna invest in you, but now you have to stay here for 3 years. You can't do that. So that, you can't. It would be nice. It would be nice, Jesse.
But, so, through all this, then, is the teacher happy about this?
I believe so.
Yeah.
Of Of course, their initial intent was to leave 100%, but I think, I don't even know if he's here, that teacher appreciated our willingness to work with the other districts so he can fulfill some of the responsibility there. And we're committed to working very hard to get up a replacement for that portion of his day, so next year he can be released fully.
And I think Dr. McNulty worked with the superintendent and also worked with the teacher, so trying to make sure that he was in the loop.
You know, it is really an attempt to honor the respect of the intentions of all three parties. And, you know, have honest conversations, and knowing that it was late in the year, that was a factor. Because we did try suitable placements. Ms. Paget thought we may have a few options out there, and unfortunately they fell through.
And I ask that just for the case that if you're holding someone against their will, they may not be performing at their highest level of, you know, ability if they're doing something they don't want to be doing. So that's all I ask that.
Right. The bottom line is high school science teachers have different roles than college football coaches.
Just as hard to fill sometimes, unfortunately. So, great. Is there anything further then? Anybody? All right, then seeing none, all those in favor of approval of the 28E agreement with Hudson Community School District for shared high school science teacher, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Chair votes aye. Motion carried. That takes us then to our next item, which is item L on page 40, and these are board policy changes, and I see that Tara Thomas, our Director of School and Community Relations, is coming forward. This is a first reading only this evening. Tara, do you want me to read through all those, or are you gonna walk us through them?
I think the only one that's significant is the new policy, and that's the donations and naming rights, 702.12. The other proposed changes are really minor tweaks to better align our policies with the IASB recommended language changes.
Okay.
So if anyone has any questions, I would say Pam Arndorfer had submitted some of these as board secretary in terms of the language changes around school board policies, and then the biggest one, of course, being the new one that's been in the works for at least 3 years, and that's on page 51, the donations and naming rights. And this is really a multi-pronged policy in terms of impacting everything from academics to sponsorships to the athletic component of that in terms of seeking out donations or naming rights, as well as career and technical education potential.
Tara, just for clarification, I'm curious, when, like this evening, we accepted a donation from the McElroy Trust. I know we accept donations from the Waterloo Schools Foundation. This is just for naming and donations made in which people are, it's just in that vein, not in the vein of those organizations that contribute to our district otherwise, correct?
Yes.
Okay. I want to make sure I
Well,
got that.
no,
It's different, those are gifts, not naming opportunities.
but until you get down to some level here, there's no eligibility for naming. A supporter or friend level donation will receive a tax certificate, tax receipt, a thank you letter, and one activity pass. So there's no naming opportunity under that,
Right.
correct?
Yes, but I think she means in terms of the exchange of some kind of reward or acknowledgement. So in this case, each of those levels does have something that comes with it that's an in-kind, you know, I guess, gesture on the part of the district to, so that if an individual were to look at these levels, he or she would know, okay, this is what I would receive based on the policy in exchange for my donation, whereas I think you're referring to like R.J. McElroy.
Yes.
Where a donation is coming and there's not any kind of reciprocation.
That's what I'm saying. I'm just clarifying that I am reading that correctly.
That's my understanding.
Okay.
So the message is, for those first four levels, you're not eligible
For naming.
Okay.
Yep, got it. So just so that in case anybody's watching and they want to look these up, I am going to read these policy just numbers so that they're out there.
Okay.
It's 106.0, which is school district goals and objectives, 201.0, school board elections, 201.5, which is term of office, 202.41, which is vacancies, 206.0, board officers, 210.0, meetings of the Board of Education, 507.1, student motor vehicle use, 702.12, donations and naming rights, and then 801.9, sales or lease of real property. Thank you, Tara. I just wanted to, and
So
it's
there
just
was-
the first reading, so we're not voting on them tonight.
So there was no particular incident that brings us forward at this time?
No, it's just been in the planning a long time, so we wanted to try to expedite getting it before you folks in terms of where we are with career and technical education now that the pathways have launched.
And we've been talking about it, I know, for quite some time in facilities about differences when, we built new buildings, we've done a lot of that and haven't had that as a part of our protocol, as a policy. So I personally am very happy to see that. If anybody wants to just give us big chunks of change, we're happy to take it, but it's nice to have the policy.
And it can be in kind. When we visited
Yes.
the other schools with CTE, often, it might be automotive, and it says this area is sponsored by whoever motors. And often they will have given some equipment, donated equipment or something. And that's, I think, what this will be valuable. That is, we expand our CTE program, we can recognize particularly those careers that require substantial physical equipment.
And I think that we talked about in policy that this would allow for partnerships and to see what a partnership would then receive, once, and this has to be in place because we need somewhere to follow when people are wanting to give for consistency and for a process that works, so.
Is there a state policy around this that we looked at too?
We
I
really-
probably should have been in the meeting, then I would know, but.
We really consulted initially with the other comparable size districts, so the UAN districts, in terms of some of what they were doing or which policies they had in place, and then that's where really the basis for these contribution levels came about. And then, as Sue and the others in the Policy Review Committee could attest, we really wanted to make sure that we didn't focus on, say, specifically athletics, that this was very broad to encompass the academic or extracurricular programs like fine arts and music, because we know that in the case of some of our buildings, we already have that recognition for some of the non-athletic groups. So we wanted to make sure, and we had a pretty spirited conversation around that to make sure that it was, broad.
All things being equal, hypothetical, if we have a donor that donated $50,000 to one building, does the district in turn identify other needs in other building areas? So if we're allocating different funds for equipment, technology, or what have you, because you can't ask someone to donate to wherever you need it, they donate it to where they choose.
The annual fund.
Correct. So, but in those instances, if you look across the board at all the different buildings and you have a benefactor that donates predominantly in one area, does the district then have the opportunity to look at other funding sources for other buildings to?
Right, and that actually is why the board has to approve the donations that would come, because that would be something that we would look at. So, and that actually has happened in the past. If there is one building, look at the high schools. There's two comprehensive high schools. If one donates to one and the other would be, not able to serve students as well, then we would look at that. And I know Michael has been very helpful in that process and in trying to figure out how to, sometimes it's going back to the donor and saying, could we do this? Sometimes it's, not accepting until we know that we can address the needs elsewhere.
Well, one example would be the indoor athletic facility.
Absolutely.
That was, I think, almost totally donated at West. But at the time we received that gift, we knew that probably at some time, and it's usually delayed a little bit, but a couple years later, then the district, they fundraised at East, but weren't quite able to get enough for the total facility, so the district matched.
Yep.
So that's kind of the way it
Good
has
example.
been working.
Good example, yeah.
Thank you, Tara.
Thank
Is there
you.
anything further for her this evening? Great, then we'll look forward to seeing you at our next meeting for the second readings. We'll move on then to item M, which is on page 54. This is in regards to the demolition of Edison Elementary School, and the recommended motion is that the Board of Education approve the Edison Elementary School demolition project and publish a notice to bidders.
So moved.
Okay, and a second? Why don't you say second?
Second.
There you go. Great. So Jesse moved and Sue seconded. And with that, we'll open it up for discussion. This is something, we obviously had our public hearing earlier in the meeting this evening. This has been talked about several times at the board table as well as in our facilities meetings. We are moving forward to look to the abatement of asbestos has already occurred in the building, and now we are looking to demolish the building. Is there anything further you'd like to add with that, Michael? And so this just allows us opportunity to publish that notice that we are interested in getting a bid for demolition.
Was the asbestos removal pretty much what we anticipated, or was it higher or lower?
I think it was what we anticipated.
The bid was
Yeah,
right where-
the bid was right
yeah.
where. And I would add, too, the person I referenced who had given me the question earlier, the community member, also asked a question about the demolition, and the question was, and I'll just reiterate it, maybe it exists out in the audience or out for our viewers, but the other question was, have we tried to sell the property as is without the expense of demoing the building for us? And actually, the answer to that is yes. We tried, actually, I went back in the minutes because it was prior to when I was the superintendent, but Michael helped me, and we pulled up quite a few records, and really it looks like from the latter part of 2010 to, the early part of 2012, there were multiple times when the district put that land for sale and tried to sell it as is, and we ended up doing a little bit of a land swap on one part of it, but could not find a buyer for the other with the building intact the way it was. So because we aren't not able to, they call it legally, disposing of that property with the building on that property, the board has committed to taking care of that instead of leaving a dilapidated school. So
And we had at least one interested party at one time.
That incubator type.
Educational organization out of Cedar Rapids wanted it as an incubator, but as is often the case when they really look at it, it kind of falls through because the maintenance costs, energy costs are just too high for them to.
But just to clarify, we always look at that first because it certainly is a better way to do that, a cheaper way if we don't have to take down a building.
Take down the building. But we're trying to be good neighbors and get rid of that, so. All right, is there anything further? Then all those in favor of the recommended motion for the demolition of Edison Elementary School, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Chair votes aye, motion carried. Thank you. Then the next item on our agenda is item N on page 55. And the recommended motion is that the Board of Education approve the proposed 3-year contract with the superintendent through June 30th, 2019. And a second? Second. Great. And I just want to say, I want to be the first to say that I'm delighted to have this on our agenda this evening. We met with Dr. Lindemann all the way back in July.
It's been a while.
And yeah, it has been a while. Over the summer, in closed session, we had a very good and very positive review. I truly think in all of the reviews that I've been a part of with other superintendents, that this was the one where I really felt like our board goals and our superintendent goals truly aligned, and that we were all on the same page and all pulling in the same direction. So I'm very happy this evening to have this in front of us. It is an extension of the current contract for another year, and also just to say that many of the metrics were met in our strategic plan and pay per performance, and that I'm just very happy to have that, and I'm glad that you're going to be with us.
Thank you.
And I'll open that up to anybody else who wants to talk about it. So, everybody's going to be quiet?
I think it's important. I mean, we started this, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, perhaps. The whole concept of a merit pay or pay for performance plan. I think it's important that we expand that this next year to cover the whole leadership team.
Sure.
And that the next step for the board and the superintendent is to set the goals for this coming year. The objective is, there's how many goals?
42.
42 goals. Many of them are stretch goals. So the starting point is 0 pay increase if the superintendent and staff hopefully meet no goals. The standard is sort of in the 40 to 60% range. The 40 to 60% range would give a normal equivalent to the normal historical pay raises. The other thing, though, for this next year, I think we have to make sure we're budgeted, particularly if the whole administrative team is on this. We're budgeted in the case there is exceptional performance, because, I mean, truly remarkable performance that goes above the 60 or 70 or maybe even 80% range. So I think we can't, at the end, say we don't have the money. We have to set money aside to fully reward in the event there's outstanding performance. So I don't think we've talked about that much before, but that needs to be there, because it's possible, and we simply have to follow through, because if we don't pay what the incentive pay system recommends, over time you're going to diminish the incentive. So I think that's the important point going forward.
And Lyle, I'm just going to piggyback on top of that while you were talking about the metrics and how, the stretch goals and what was meant, and just say that Dr. Lindemann earned, I do want to put these numbers out there. Her bonus would have been $8,600, but due to our, budget constraints and other things, she chose and asked for that to be matched with our other administrators at $1,200. And that is certainly not because she didn't earn the full amount. It is something that she asked for and that we are granting her, but that is how we're choosing to do that.
Yeah. So in effect, I consider that difference a personal donation,
right,
to
absolutely,
our little community schools in the interest of having a strong team for future performance, this next year and the year after. So I commend that. At the same time, as we discussed previously, we can't, it's kind of a one-off situation. If you don't really reward for the performance that was earned, then the incentive system is undermined a little bit.
Duly noted. Anything else this evening? Like I said, I'm just very happy that Dr. Lindemann and we are going to be together for 3 more years. So there you go. With that, then, all those in favor of approving the superintendent contract, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Chair votes aye. Motion carried. That concludes our action items this evening, and so I will move on to the superintendent's report.
All right, you bet. Well, first of all, it seems appropriate, I guess, for me to just make a comment. I really do appreciate the contract that you just approved unanimously. I think that is a great thing. I have enjoyed more than I ever dreamed I would this position. Those who know me know that I really, really enjoyed my previous position, and so when this one became available and just wasn't sure that it was exactly what I wanted, and I think things work out very often the way that they're meant to be, so I have enjoyed it immensely. I have always said that the job that I have right now is always it's the best job I ever had, just the one that I'm in right now. So I think that is probably true for this one as well. So I appreciate my contract, and as far as the salary, I just felt like it was the right thing to do to be parallel. I don't think that, I think that we all work hard, and so I just felt like that was the right thing to do. So I will guarantee you that I will work just as hard regardless of what I get, but I duly noted, and it's appreciated that you would like me to take more, so I think that's great. A couple other things. It kind of got buried a little bit on the consent agenda, but we had a donation tonight of $5,000 from McElroy Trust, and I just feel like I want to publicly thank them. They have been huge, huge supporters of our district, and so the fact that it was unanimously approved on a consent agenda does not water down the appreciation and the recognition that we have for McElroy Trust. And so thank you very, very much for supporting our district, and most importantly, supporting our kids. A comment about our career and technical education that's come up a couple different times. We were lucky a couple weeks ago to launch at Central Middle School in that location on one end. I'm sure people have heard about that, but we launched our first two career pathways, the full comprehensive pathways of nursing and digital graphics. And they are going remarkably well. I would like everybody to commit the date of October 20th at 10 o'clock in the morning to your memories. We have our open house ribbon cutting ceremony, and we'll give the public a chance to come and see the building, and it's remarkable to meet the kids who are taking part in this. We've had a chance to talk with the students who are already over there, which is there are 26 students or 28 kids in the nursing program, and there are about a dozen kids in the graphics, and we knew it would be lower this first semester, and that certainly is okay, but to talk to the kids makes you a believer in what career and technical education can do. So great. I'll make note of that date again. It is October 20th at 10 o'clock, and we sure hope you'll come and get a tour and hear from the speakers. I've actually invited the governor to come because there's been a lot of information going on a lot of things going on at the state level, and so we'll see. I hope he can make it. Yesterday was 9/11, and so I read with interest and, remorse and reflection, I guess, the articles in the paper. And Sue, I read yours, and I thought you had some really nice reflections of, I think we all remember where we were on 9/11, but there was also another article that talked about the fact that our high school students, for them, 9/11 truly is history. It's not something that they can remember exactly, because everybody in this room, I'm going to look at the age, I think everybody in this room can remember exactly where you were when the planes hit the World Trade Centers. So, I think we just don't forget. We just don't forget. And so, Sue, thanks for contributing to that insert in the paper. I thought they were great. I read every single one of them. I thought it was interesting, and I could have added my own reflections on those too. Enrollment, just a couple more things. Sorry, there's quite a bit this starting the year. Enrollment, we are trending very, very neutral on enrollment, which actually is a very positive thing. We knew that we were going to have a very small kindergarten class coming in. We tracked birth rates, and 5 years ago was the smallest number of births. So anybody who had kids 5 years ago, good job. We have, anybody here maybe, I don't know, but so we had the smallest number of births 5 years ago, which means that we have small numbers of kindergartens, and so we are down some in kindergarten, but we've actually compensated for that in some of the other grades, and so it looks like we're going to be fairly steady. We've got a few kids that we're still trying to track down and get enrolled, and so we will continue to do that, and I guess this would be a good place to give kudos to the staff for that. We've had, Adrienne Carlson was here, and people like her who have positions like her, and guidance counselors and teachers and principals are going after the kids and, knocking on their door and getting them into school. And we would, some of us assume that that's just a natural part when August comes around, that you just instantly come to school, and that really isn't always the case. And so I just appreciate all the hard work there. I'll just do one more. I have a whole list here, but I'm just going to pick one more. Friday is a full day of professional development, and I very often will take the, so there is no school for students, and so I just sometimes take the opportunity to thank our parents and daycare providers who go, switch around their schedules so that we can have the opportunity to learn together. And so we've got a full day of learning. It is actually Cattle Congress weekend, and so if you are like me, you will load up your family and you will go because it's just a great opportunity. I'm actually from a farm, so it's not like I'm going to see the cows for the first time, but if you haven't and you're not a farm person, it's just a great opportunity. It's a great experience, and you can have a corn dog or something. So no school on Friday, and we will have a great day of learning here. So I guess that's it. Thank you.
You can keep going. It's all right.
Nope, I'm going to save the next one for next one. Thank you.
All right, I think I started this way last week or 2 weeks ago, so I'm going to start to my right. Lyle. I did? Oh, man. It's all right. Okay, remind me, you guys. Next time, to the left. Yeah. I should just get to start once. But that's okay. You've been done talking to me.
I don't know if you read the IASB news clips regularly or not. I hit and miss. But there's one on there, the byline is Nice Republic, if you can keep it. This is an article by Stephanie Wager, who was a former social studies teacher, now a consultant with the Iowa Department of Education. And from it, it seems like they're developing a more robust social studies curriculum. But in the meantime, September 17th, which happens to be a Saturday this year, is Constitution Day. And it kind of, I think, encourages particularly social study teachers to focus on the Constitution. So there's interesting numbers in there, one of which was the National Assessment of Educational Progress in 2014, the latest available numbers. Only 23% of the students were proficient in physics across the country. And of course, the Nice Republic, if you can keep it, that comes from the famous saying of Benjamin Franklin when they closed the Constitutional Convention. He walked out and some woman said, Dr. Franklin, what have we, a republic or a monarchy? His response was, a republic if you can keep it. So what he actually meant in the challenges of if you can keep it would be good for a discussion on Constitution Day or the Monday following it. Sadly, another statistic she put out was only 35% of the students could identify any of the three major branches of government, judicial, executive, or legislative. Only 35% could name one. So, it isn't a given that you can keep a republic, and with numbers like that, it becomes much more of a risk. So I think there's a need for more civics, better civics, and perhaps that's coming, but in the meantime, I think all of us should. But just read this article. I think is worth your while reading.
Homework.
Homework, exactly.
Rhonda.
Lyle kind of beat me to the punch. In terms of homework and civics, I think our kids these days need a more hands-on and visual approach. Homework is not what it used to be, to say the least. Having said that, I think it is very important that as a district we strongly encourage our students, particularly those that are over the age of 18, to register to vote so that they can have a say in their republic. Specifically as it relates to education. So I would hope that our civics and government instructors will do some type of student-led or student-run voter education drive so that our young people can understand that their votes do count and that they do have a stake in this republic. So I want to strongly encourage all of our high school students that will be 18 by the age of by the age of the election in November to please register and to get more information and learn about the candidates, learn about the issues, and realize that you should also look at the Iowa State House and how that impacts that. I run into a lot of parents who say that they're not voting this year. And so I'm not going to make this a political statement. But I really hope that as a school district, we encourage our high school students to seek their own knowledge and seek wise counsel on the issues and how it affects them. Please and thank you.
Thanks, Rhonda. Sue?
I just, speaking of articles that we've read, I was in Minneapolis and read an article from Seattle, and they, again, are doing a big study on bell time for high school kids. And it was just very, very interesting, and so I would hope at some point we would consider looking at that again about high school bell time and what's best for students, you know, and just, I know there's research both ways on that. I know bell time changes are difficult, but it was just some very, very interesting, and I will get a copy of it to everybody if I remember where I put the paper. But it just was, I was traveling and I saw it, but it was very, very interesting statistics on the different bell time that they have gone to for high school, and with much opposition, you know, and it seems to be working for kids. So just looking at ways that we can work and do the best for our kids, so.
Thanks, Sue. Angie?
Actually, I have two things. One is I got a KWWL alert about a student from Jefferson High School, so my thoughts and prayers are with that family and with the schools that in dealing with that. And it reminded of the conversation that we had last time where Dr. Lindeman talked about what kind of things that we are doing in order to be able to recognize that a student might have a need. So just applauding our district for kind of being proactive, and anyone teacher who has not had the opportunity to do that, to please continue to do that. And then two, it's exciting to see faces of potential and rising teachers, especially if one of them is related to me. Super excited to have you guys here and learn, and hopefully maybe one of you will come sit up here one day too.
I wonder if any of them are interested in.
I was going to ask them before we go.
Good.
Jesse, geez, I can't. No, it's all right if they want to. Jesse, you have anything?
Yeah, I got two things. One is something that's kind of concerning to me, just, you know, listening, reading, is where we're at with our AEA agency in terms of support at state level. As a parent that's had 3 of my 4 kids receive some type of help through AEA, and actually have one that's still getting help through there, I see the benefit of, you know, having those employees there at AEA in our schools helping out. I've had a chance to travel quite a bit, a lot of parts of the U.S., and, you know, and I come from areas that, you know, education is pretty behind. And I look at, I even think of my own child, how he would have struggled, one of them would have struggled in that environment in terms of the education system. And Iowa's such a progressive state, and it's just sad to see that, you know, we're cutting those budgets at the state level and really hurting the kids. It's not, we might be helping tax dollars, but we're hurting kids in the process, and that's just not where I think our education system needs to be at. So for the voters out there, you know, just be informed of what's going on that. And then just a couple of nice recognitions here. On bring it back on the positive side here. 2 great band performances going on. I've got to see both bands so far. We have West Side Band doing a tribute to Freddie Mercury, kind of interesting, and then we have the East Side Band doing a tribute to Star Wars: The Force Awakens. So a lot of neat stuff out there. So anybody's out, get a chance to see the bands perform, do that. Both of them did a great job. So shout out to them.
Dang, band mom, didn't get my words in. I was going to say the same thing about the bands, but also the football teams, that, you know, we do have great high school football here in the state. And if you want to come see bands and you want to come see our awesome new scoreboard, you need to come to Memorial Stadium on a Friday night, because we'd love to have you. So I want to just take a minute and acknowledge that I believe we've got a class here tonight, and I'm not going to make you all come up here and talk unless you want to. But would someone just tell me, one of you brave souls, just stand up and tell me where you're from and what your assignment was for being here tonight?
We're from Upper Iowa.
We use the microphone really fast. I'm so sorry. That way everybody can hear.
We're from Upper Iowa University here in Waterloo. We are future educators. This is our Foundations of Education class. So it's pretty much like our intro into what public education is all about. And we have a range of early childhood majors to just regular elementary education majors, secondary education majors, and we have one industrial tech major. So.
Well, my bad. I should have said something earlier, you guys. I wasn't exactly sure if it was a class or what was going on, and I hate to wait till the very end to acknowledge you, but I appreciate that you've been here. You've heard us do kind of a lot tonight in terms of, we've kind of hit a lot of different responsibilities of what a board does, so.
And I'm sorry, I forgot to mention we have some special ed majors too, so.
Great. Well, if any of you have anything further that you ever need or want, I'm just going to throw it out there. You can email me. I'll stay around for a while. I'm sure Dr. Lindemann would too, even though she's got somebody at home ill. We got to move. So, but if any of you, go ahead.
Have any of you been to a school board meeting before? Is this kind of what you expected, or is this like, these people are nuts?
You guys don't have to. You don't have to answer that. So,
And some of them work for the district.
go ahead. Stand up. Yay!
Well, my name is Dawn Laws. Many of you know me. I know Dr. Lindemann and Angie. I'm a 1997 East High graduate. I've been a para in the district for 10 years. I'm a single mom of 3 kids, and it's time to move on up in the world, and I'm excited, and I am glad to be here, and I have a great group of friends that I've met over not even that long. I've been at Upper Iowa now for 4 terms, and I'm excited, so I look forward to meeting you all even at a better level than, I mean, I do a lot of work as a para, but still, I'm excited to, what word am I trying to say?
Serve in a new capacity.
Serve in a new capacity and better myself.
Right.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Good
And
luck.
I have kids
That's great.
at East High and Central, and I have a new one coming up in elementary pretty soon. So
Excellent.
Thank you.
I'm excited to be
Yay.
a part of Waterloo and a product, so Waterloo's where it's at.
Great. Thanks.
And don't
Stay
eat
there.
any chicken that she cooks. I used to babysit her, so.
All right, well, thank you all for staying with us here. We'll move through. So with that, unless there's any other information this evening, our next regularly scheduled board meeting is September 26th, right back here in this room at 6 p.m. I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
And a second? Second. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Chair votes aye. We are adjourned. Good night. Thanks.